Alright, so today's painting will be brought to you by brush. Alright, let's see if we can make this look a little better now. This was the last little piece of trim I had, so it barely made it. I got a little bad end down here, so I'm going to just fill that with caulk once I get it installed. Okay, we got basically a 45. Right there. This is our piece we're going to put in the corner. Careful with this stuff. You can cut it with snips. Just cut it nice and easy, nice and gentle. Don't go overboard. And you put something like that on a miter saw, and it's just going to blow it apart. On this one, we want a little 45 on each end, just like the other one. Okay, that's our end. We're going to see on the end over here, like so. Now we're going to sand this end to a 45. Like I said, just sand it. I tried to cut it on a saw. This is really thin. This is a used piece of molding. So we're doing what we can here to save money. Okay, we got our pieces cut. So I'm going to set these aside. These pieces are going to be laying on top of this strip. So we need to put a little back cut under here. Your time. Just like so. Just a little back cut, basically. That way, as you see, it will sit flat. You gotta go the way the grain lets you go. Don't go against the grain. Just a back cut. Nothing fancy. Now, if I was a trim guy and I came in this house and I was going to do all the trim all over again, yes, I would whip out all my major tools, all my fancy saws, sanders, and have a belt sander, you know. It's not necessary here. See how nicely that sets up in there? Just like that. And we can run a bead of caulk along the bottom of that. It'll look beautiful. Alright, I'm going to scrape the other one. I'll see you in a bit. Alright. You can see we got this little back cut all the way along there. See how it fits. Beautiful. How about that? Of course, as with all the walls in this house, there's a hump right here. So I'm going to get some nails. We're going to nail that in and make it lay flat. There's no debris in the back. Right back in the corner. That piece sits nice. There we go. Don't even need to nail that one. Don't nail it unless you have to. Doesn't take a lot. Screwdriver. Use a drift punch for this if you want. Didn't want to nail this too hard because it bows in, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm just going to pry that out just a little. Pry that out just a little so that the caulk will look nice and straight. Just like that. Okay. A little bit of a gap there, so fill it in. Be afraid to fill it in and use your excess over here. Close the end off, make it look neat and tidy. And there's a little bit of the vanity seal there. Let's caulk that too. Okay. On the bottom. Ooh, we got some thunder. You would think this vanity is flat, but it is not. The excess on your finger, use it strategically. Stuff like that right there. This is sealed. Make it. Doesn't need much. Got down to the end of the caulking. It was exactly what we needed. So that's telling us, karma is telling us we did a good job here. Oh, got a gap. There we go. Alright, so today's painting will be brought to you by brush. Because we caulked this yesterday, it'll come out looking nice. Just get up in there and seal everything the best you can. Alright, we got us a piece of tile, scrap. Not really scrap, but an extra from the other room. Doing here. I'll do this before I paint down there so that it doesn't get all over it. Get all over my painted surface. This is that swelled up edge I was telling you about. Well, the moisture runs down and they didn't paint the bottom of the door, so that you end up with this swollen edge at the bottom. And I'm going to seal that up and that won't happen again. Try to make it look a little better. As you can see, it doesn't take much. Just gotta give a shit. My motto, just give a shit. Don't rush to get home. Anytime you're dealing with cheap cabinets made out of MDF, you're gonna get these lips that look like crap. When you paint it, it stands up all the little loose burrs. After you prime, you gotta come back and sand them. And that kind of knocks that shit down. As you can see. They're not gonna look perfect because they're old. But they won't look like they're covered with chunks. Look at that edge right there. It's all chunky and nasty because it hasn't been sanded. And that's what the paint does. The paint with particle board gets in the particle board and swells it. So anytime you paint anything, all the edges are going to swell up and look chunky because that paint gets in there and swells up these uneven edges. You could go around and run a router around these, but this is old MDF. This stuff has got moisture in it, so if you try to router this, it's just going to tear it up and it's going to look like crap. So better off just to paint it, coat a primer on it, and sand all your edges. Even stuff like this here, you can see the paint stands up all of those little bits, those little imperfections on the edge. See this? I'm sure you probably can, it's pretty bad. You just take your sandpaper, go along that edge, close your cabinet and get the whole thing, don't miss any. Just run it just like I'm doing. Yeah, you're going to take a little paint off, but that's okay. Just moving it out the best it can be. Believe it or not, it's still going to look good after you paint that again because the moisture is in the wood now. And it's got to even. Okay? No bad edges. Run that sandpaper down. Down here you can't see what I'm doing here, but I'm just doing the inside of the cabinet where there's ugly stuff. Okay, so that's all ready to paint. This one. It's that easy. This one's not as bad because it's not as close to the tub. That little bit makes a difference. Okay, we got that looking about as good as we can. All your dust off. It's going to stick in your paint. No, it doesn't look great. But no, it doesn't look bad. Alright, let's cut in. Just around the edges. I'm not going to do the body of work because that's done with a roller. Very nice. So that didn't have to be perfect because obviously where it meets the floor, we're going to run a bead of caulk right there. So we just paint up to it as much as we can. Continue. Everything you can get with the roller, get with the roller. Don't bother using your brush. The roller is so much faster and it puts down a lot more paint at one time. The corners, like up in here, down in there. See it goes with the brush. Trust me guys, I would never be painting hinges unless spot right there. Now when you have an edge that's sanded like that, just pull your brush along like this and that will cover any of that stuff you sanded in one coat. like that. And your next coat will make it look nice. I mean, it's that easy. Look at that spot over here in the corner. I think you guys can see that. Caulked this yesterday, so as you can see it, tied it right in nicely. There's about a 1/2 inch gap there. No need to put trim on that. That's extra money you don't need to spend. Every time you put trim on something, you're adding labor and you're adding materials. Well, no, it doesn't look like much, but we primed all this. Got another coat of primer on the door. Went ahead and cut in all the way around there. All right. Went ahead and cut in all this. All up there. Around these doors. All right. See you tomorrow.